For so many people, that week before their period brings this absolute storm of symptoms, and it all just gets brushed off as bad PMS. But what if it's actually something more? Today, we're unlocking the mystery of PMDD, a severe mood disorder that we're finally starting to understand for what it is, a condition rooted in the brain. Okay, let's get into it.
So that's the big question, right? Where is that line? When do the mood swings, the irritability, and that crushing anxiety cross over from being typical PMS into something else entirely? That's the difference we're here to break down. All right, first things first, let's tackle the biggest mystery head on. What exactly is PMDD? For the longest time, the official understanding has been kind of fuzzy, so let's make it crystal clear.
At its heart, what defines PMDD is its relentless, predictable pattern. This isn't a state of depression or anxiety that's there all the time. Nope. It is tied directly to the menstrual cycle. The symptoms flare up in that final week before a period, and then, almost like a switch gets flipped, they vanish a few days after menstruation starts.
So PMDD has a few key fingerprints. It's cyclical, it's severe enough to really mess with your life, and the main symptoms are all about your mood. But it's that last point that is the absolute game changer in understanding this. PMD is a neurological issue. It's an abnormal brain response.
And that little fact right there brings us to the biggest plot twist in the entire story of PMDD. See, for decades, everyone just pointed the finger at hormones. But the real science? It points to a culprit that is way more complex and honestly, way more interesting.
And here it is. This is the core misunderstanding. Most people think PMDD is caused by a hormone imbalance, too much of this, not enough of that. But the scientific fact is that it's an abnormal brain response. The hormone levels themselves, they're totally normal. The problem is that the brain has a unique biological sensitivity to their completely normal monthly ups and downs. This quote really says it all. If you took a blood test, you literally could not tell the difference in hormone levels between someone with PMDD and someone without. I mean, that's incredible proof that the issue isn't the hormones themselves, but how the brain is reacting to them. So, what in the world is causing that reaction?
Okay, so if the brain is where the action is, let's go there. Our investigation is now taking us deep inside the brain to find the biological culprits that are pulling the strings. First up, and this is a big one, genetics. PMDD has a shockingly high heritability, somewhere between 30 and 80%. That's huge. Research is pointing to specific variations in our genes, like one called ESR1, that might basically change the brain's settings for hormone sensitivity right from birth. Culprit number 2, the serotonin system. Now, in a typical brain, serotonin levels kind of roll with the punches of the changing hormones before a period. But in a brain with PMDD, that adjustment just doesn't happen the way it should. It gets thrown out of whack. And this, by the way, helps explain why antidepressants, SSRIs, can work so well, because they directly target that serotonin system. Okay, this next one is just fascinating. When the hormone progesterone breaks down, it creates this byproduct called aloe. Now, aloe is supposed to be a calming agent. It's meant to chill your brain out. But in people with PMDD, something bizarre happens. It creates a paradoxical, meaning the opposite, effect, causing a negative mood, especially in the amygdala, the brain's emotion center. So what should be calming becomes agitating.
And finally, we absolutely cannot ignore stress and inflammation. There are really strong links between past trauma, chronic stress, and PMDD. Now, to be clear, these things don't cause PMDD. Instead, think of them as symptom amplifiers. They turn up the volume on everything else, messing with brain signaling and making the body's natural inflammatory state even worse.
So with all this complex biology going on, how does a doctor actually diagnose it? Well, it's a very careful, step-by-step process. They have to confirm the timing is right, check that at least 5 specific symptoms are there, including one core mood symptom like intense irritability, make sure it's severe enough to cause real distress, and rule out any other conditions. But that last step is absolutely crucial. The diagnosis has to be confirmed by tracking symptoms every single day for at least 2 months to prove that clear, undeniable cyclical pattern. Look, understanding the cause is half the battle. It truly is. So now that we've investigated what's going on, let's talk about cracking the case and finding real, effective ways to manage the symptoms.
The first line of support often starts with things you can do that don't involve medication. For instance, eating more complex carbs can actually help your brain get more access to that serotonin we were talking about. And therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, have been shown to be incredibly effective. Even online versions of CBT are proving to be a huge help for people.
On top of that, certain supplements have some pretty solid evidence backing them up. Vitamin B6, calcium, taken twice a day, and magnesium have all been shown in studies to help reduce symptoms and improve mood for some people. They can be really powerful tools to have in your toolkit.
So, after this whole deep dive, what's the final verdict on PMDD? It is simple and it is powerful. This condition is 100% real. It is diagnosable using clear scientific criteria, and most importantly, it is treatable with a whole range of evidence-based approaches. If you take away just one single thing from all of this today, please let it be this. Hormones act as triggers, not causes. The real underlying cause is the brain's unique sensitivity, a sensitivity shaped by your genes, your neurotransmitters, and your stress levels. The hormones are just triggering the trigger each month on a condition that's already low. And all of this leaves us with one final big question. When we understand PMDD not as some kind of hormonal failure, but as the complex neurobiological condition it truly is, how can that start to change the entire conversation? How does this shift how we validate, research, and treat all the other misunderstood parts of women's health? It's definitely a question worth thinking about.